one thing I've learned in this game of show business, and particularly when you go and interview very famous people, is they never actually like the thing that they've become famous for. You know what I mean? You must have read about this yourself. They don't like the song, for instance. They're not really keen on that. And it's the thing, whether it became a ditty or a novelty record or whatever, that's the thing that the public decided that they're going to make you famous for. I mean, I'm sure the young lady that came up with Barbie Girl, Aqua, I think Lena, I think she was called. I mean, whether she likes it or not, and now she must be a little bit older, all that sort of stuff, but she's always going to have to sing Barbie Girl because that is exactly what the public demanded. I was lucky enough, as you know, in my career to meet so many wonderful greats. And when you did meet them, you were in awe of them. And in particular, this particular man, because he was, shall we say, truly frightening. We're talking, of course, about the brilliant Christopher Lee, Sir Christopher Lee, in fact, but Sir Christopher Lee, who for many people, for many years, was a role that he didn't like. That's right, Dracula. Now, according to him, he told me this when I met him, that the reason why he didn't want to do much dialogue in those Hammer films, he was always pushing them to basically include the original content, the writer, Bram Stoker. And he said, look, all the text is there. Why don't you just do that? So he refused to actually say the scripting that the Hammer scriptwriters had come up with. Obviously, I could see their side. They were trying to make it more modern, more accessible, and basically create their own narrative of that epic telling production. He starred in 10 sort of films as Dracula. So obviously the money must have gone up on numerous occasions. But what you won't know is this about the wonderful Sir Christopher Lee. Let me explain. Hi, good morning. How are you? Nice to see you. You all right? Yes, thank you. I'm not bad myself. Yeah. I know. Yeah, well, you're trying, aren't we? I know in this weather, this cold over here, although I have to say before you tell me off, it's warm. Yeah, it's really, I've got the coat out now. Yes, I know, you find that, don't you? Then you get on the bus, you've got your bag, your coat, your scarf, your hat, your gloves. You can't remember yourself, can you? Terrible, isn't it? Yeah, it's really warm, really mild, although we were told it was going to be sub-zero. Yes, I'll just leave that there. Somewhere who did create something of a sub-zero temperature was none other than the brilliant actor. Do you like that link then? Yeah, you were impressed. No. Well, anyway, Christopher Lee, right? The bottom line is, as I said, he always wanted to do other things. And in particular, in the latter part of his career, he did. He recorded operettas, opera, self-funded it himself and obviously put it out and did all that sort of stuff. But what he really wanted to do was comedy. Now, I didn't know this until I was lucky enough to sit down with him all too briefly in the latter end of his career. But he basically, said, look, people just didn't take him seriously. They thought he couldn't do comedy. He wouldn't have good comedy timing. For many people, they first clapped eyes on him, of course, in The Hound of the Baskervilles, the 1959 epic, which I thought was absolutely the best. Don't know if you've seen that one. It is up, I think, for free on YouTube. You might want to check that one out. But you see, he'd also decided he wanted, as I say, to make people laugh. Now, when I was talking to the producer, Peter Rogers, the famed producer of the Carry On movies, he told me at an event at Pinewood Studios that, in fact, they did reach out to Christopher Lee for their Carry On Screaming, their spoof Hammer movie in the mid-60s. The one with the beautiful Fenella Fielding and, of course, the ever-brilliant Kenneth Williams. They thought even just a small cameo from the King of Dracula would do a lot to help sales internationally. When I asked Christopher Lee about this, he said it was true, yes, and he was quite keen on the idea. But the problem was that Hammer felt that that would just take away from their product. They were very unhappy with the fact that the Carry On people were doing that, the sort of spoof of Dracula, And so while Peter said, look, he thought it'd be fun even just to pop up as a small cameo, Hammer said no. He was contracted to them. He did tell me, though, that he was lucky enough to appear in the big American TV show Saturday Night Live. So he finally got to show, as he pointed out, some comedic chops at least. But he remained a person who was taken incredibly seriously. But in the short time that I sort of spent with him, he was very much a giggler, laughed at everything he'd really done in his career and said he just wished that people could have seen a completely different side to Dracula. I don't know about you, but when I left, I was still a little bit nervous and clutching my neck. You know what I'm saying? Neil Shawn in the very heart of London.